Welcome to What's Going On, the weekly podcast and videocast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of What's Going On. I'm Pastor Katie here at First United Methodist, and I'm glad you could join me for this episode. I want to give you a little bit of an update on some things that are happening in the life of the church to make sure you get it on your calendar and then dive into our topic for today. So this coming Sunday, we are going to begin a new series for the Pastor Sunday class. We're doing a series called Everywhere is Jerusalem. This Sunday is just the introduction. If you would like to get a book and kind of find out what it's going to be, come and join us. There's nothing required before this class on Sunday, and we'd love to have you. Again, this will be my last Sunday series that I'll be doing before I transition on to a new church. And so last chance to get to be in class with me. And I hope that there will be plenty. The more, the merrier. We love these small groups and classes have been some of my favorite things here in the church. And it's a little bittersweet to think that this will be the last one that I'll do on Sunday mornings, but I am grateful and looking forward to it. Everywhere is Jerusalem is the book. It'll be both reading and video, and I think it'll be really fun. So I hope that you will join us for that. After church this Sunday, we do have a leadership team meeting. We've got some things coming up, especially on the 19th. We're going to be having a potluck after church. Take Me to Your Leader potluck. The name is just kind of cracks me up every time. But the idea the leadership team has kind of come up with is they're going to be hosting quarterly potlucks for the church as a time for fellowship, just gathering together and being with each other, but also a time to get to hear from the leadership team on things that they are doing and working on, and also to be able to voice anything that you would like, questions that you might have, just to have open conversation. And so that's going to be happening after worship on the 19th. Looking ahead also in April, tomorrow is Esther Kish's funeral in Wagner, and then Reverend Russell Pierce passed away this week. His service will be at our church on April 25th at 10:30, and they will be having a visitation and prayer service on Friday the 24th at Wentz Funeral Home. The prayer service will be at 7, the visitation from 5 to 7. And so I hope that you would consider supporting the family in that way. Reverend Russell was a United Methodist clergy all his life and served very faithfully all over our conference. And so this one is especially near and dear to my heart. And we've got some special things that'll happen in that service because of it. And so I just want you to be aware of that and have that on your calendars. On Sunday, April 26th, after worship, we're going to be going out to our Healthy Garden plots on West City Limits Road to do a garden blessing as we begin that season, as they begin planting and prepping that, and then also to encourage all of you to participate in that ministry that we do. It really is a ministry. Those gardens support some of the other ministries that we do, along with just creating abundance. And so if you have any sort of green thumb, what they would really love is kind of having some people that are maybe good at certain plants, vegetables, things like that, that kind of know how to care for those things, to check in on them. And then they've really streamlined a lot of the process for watering and all of that. And so, but we'd love for you to at least come out and be a part of putting a blessing over that. That our garden plots support our Care Casseroles ministry. They make salsa from the food that comes from the garden, and that supports Angel Fund at the school district to help pay for kids' lunch balances that are in arrears. And also just over the course of the summer, as they begin to harvest into the fall, there is also free vegetables here at the church, and sometimes those will end up in some other places where people can have them as well. So it's a wonderful opportunity. So we want you to put that on your calendar for after church on the 26th. Looking again ahead at that week on the 29th will be our Bob Capel Memorial Ditch Cleanup. That's going to be from 6:30 to 9:30 on that Wednesday night, April 29th. Anyone is welcome to join us. You need to be 12 years old or older, according to the DOT. And so, students in sixth grade and up and families, um, we really would love to have a big crew out there. The more people we have, the less work it is. We have noticed over time as we've been tending to that part of the road and those ditches that it's nowhere near the work it was when we began. That we have really, I think, made a positive impact there. And so we'd love for you to be a part of that as well. And then just looking ahead, the first Sunday in May will be our confirmation Sunday. We will be celebrating our confirmation students. And then on the 10th, we will be celebrating our graduating seniors. So those are some things that are coming up that I hope that you get into your calendar for the life of the church and the things that we are doing. There's some other things that are happening, and we'll let you know those as well as they come. We've got Women's Night Out is going to be on a Tuesday night, and we're encouraging you to head to the library. We're going to be doing an adult craft night. It's $5. And if you sign up ahead at the library, they encourage that because there's limited space for it. But doing something a little different, not on a Thursday night. So I hope that that maybe is something that can work in your schedule. And that is a good segue, I think, into what I want to talk about today, which is interruptions, which seems like such a weird um, topic, perhaps, too. But I've been thinking a lot about it because I'll be honest that interruptions for me so often in my life are not welcome. And which is odd because I'm interrupted a lot. I even have like, and it's kind of ironic and maybe part of the reason I put the sticker, but on the back of my computer, it says, I'm a pastor, ask me anything. And then underneath in parentheses, it says, seriously, interrupt me. And I think part of that for me when I got this sticker was um, a reminder that interruptions are not always a bad thing, and that interruptions actually can be quite holy and can be opportunities for us. And again, I'm someone that if I get into a project or, when I'm writing and I'm in the zone, I hate being interrupted. And even Lisa and I have developed a system. Like if I'm recording these podcasts, that there's a light that goes on in the hallway outside of my office where she knows this is not a good time to interrupt me, or if I'm in a meeting or something like that. But there are always times where we need to be interrupted, where our day needs to be interrupted. That can be really good things, and interruptions aren't always disruptions. Um, and it reminds me, as I think through the times where I've been interrupted, that have become such a blessing. And I think sometimes we're afraid of interruptions, or we're afraid to interrupt, or we're afraid to take up space or time. Um, but oftentimes, that's how the Holy Spirit works in us, is it interrupts our lives. It changes our course. It captures our attention. And so oftentimes, I think, at least in my own experience, and maybe it is something that is tailored to me in my life because of my tendency to not like being interrupted, is that God often will interrupt me. Um, and I think sometimes that, again, like that is a good thing because maybe I need to be interrupted in order to appreciate what is happening around me, in order to be present to the moment, in order to see what God is up to, that I need to be interrupted. And it reminds me, there's a quote from, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to say it out loud before I tell you who this quote is from. But who would you guess that I might be quoting today? If you said Dietrich Bonhoeffer, you would be right, and that is a pretty good guess for me. As you know, I'm a big fan. Dietrich Bonhoeffer wrote, "We must be ready to allow ourselves to be interrupted by God. We must not assume that our schedule is our own to manage, but allow it to be arranged by God." And I came across that quote many years ago, and even back then, I was so convicted by the reality that I always want to be in control of things, and that oftentimes the best days that I have in ministry, the best experiences I have are things that have happened that I did not expect, that I did not anticipate, that I did not plan, and that God was at work, and that when I allowed God to be present when I became responsive to the spirit moving and to the things that were going on around me, I often had much more profound experiences. And so instead of being so wrapped up in my own plans and my own sense of how things should go, I keep going back to that quote of we must be ready to allow ourselves to be interrupted by God, that our schedule is not our own to manage, that we should allow God to arrange it. Um, as an itinerant pastor, I think that is a very real reality in my life in some big ways. That my schedule is not my own, and that there are times where I am interrupted by someone else's plans for my life and for the work that I do and where that's going to happen. And it's not always the way that I anticipated things to go, but the more that I've lived into that, the more I've recognized God's timing in these things, and the more open I can be to how God is at work, I think the more blessings that I experience, and the more I am able to see and to receive what God has in store for me. And so that's probably another reason I've been kind of sitting with this word of interruption, of not getting so worked up about things not going the way I think they should go, and that the interruptions are um, not a disruption to my life, but they are part of my life, and they are oftentimes where the most meaning comes from. I received this book here, and I'm gonna have to find it because, of course, I uh, lost the page. Um, but I received this book after making the announcement that I would be moving, and I someone in the church gave this to me, and I found a great passage in it. So the book is called Getting Through What You're Going Through. Notes and Poems by Tanner Olson. And on the back it says, "Life is not a race and you are not behind." It's a collection of essays, poems, and hopeful thoughts. And I've really been enjoying it. And there might be more of this coming up in the days to come, but it's been kind of a really wonderful anchor for me in this season. And there's a little thought, I guess. I don't know if it's fully a poem. It's called Let Hope Interrupt Your Story. And again, I just feel like that word has been following me lately. Um, or at least I finally noticed it. Maybe God's been putting it out there for a while, and I've been too focused on other things to really let interruptions uh, interrupt my thought process. But I want to read this to you. And again, by Tanner Olson. Let hope interrupt your story. I once read on a painted sign hanging from chicken wire in a church kitchen that God don't make mistakes. He don't. He made you, and you are not a mistake. You've never been a mistake. You and I have made mistakes, but we are not a mistake. His soft and holy hands knitted you together as he sang a song of love. He chose your shape and size and skin and soul. He picked out your walk and talk. He gave you weird and different beauty and dreams. He put a heart in your chest and life in your bones and stars in your eyes. He filled you with love and tapped you on the nose and called you very good. You. He called you very good. But I know you have days where you feel far from very good. I feel that too. There are days when I feel lost and alone, far from home. There are days when the pressure builds beneath my skin and anxiety shakes me like a hurricane rocks a house. There are days when my past catches up to my present and whispers in my ear all the things I wish I had never done or said or thought or heard. And there are days when the heaviness tries to steal away my hope, pulls down the shades and blocks out the sun. The darkness sits on my chest as I feel like I'm about to break and bend. But hope says, this is not the end. Hope interrupts the story and shines a light, reminding me that by God's grace, everything will be all right. After all, I have been knit together by his soft and holy hands. Let hope interrupt your story. Let hope slow you down as you stay a while. Slow down and stay a while. As I was reading through that, it felt also very appropriate to be reading that as we are coming off of Easter Sunday. And I think what better story to illustrate hope interrupting the story, right? We kind of talked a lot about grief and hope and how the day started in grief and they expected things to go one way. The women expected the day to be heavy and hard and processing through loss and things changed pretty dramatically. Hope interrupted in a pretty big way. And I think that's a beautiful thing and I think that's kind of how God can work. If we slow down and stay a while and open ourselves up to not how we think things need to go, not how we think things should go, but opening ourselves up to what is happening and how God might be at work in it. And that the interruption might be the exact thing we need to find hope, to experience something different. And so that's my hope for you today. I hope that you're interrupted. I hope that that interruption doesn't bring disruption to you, but brings hope and grace and blessing. I hope that you are willing to let go of the idea that your life is your own to schedule and manage, and let God be in control so that these interruptions become part of the plan of your life. Until next time, God bless. Thank you for joining us for this episode of What's Going On, a video and audio podcast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. We'd love to have you join us for worship on Sundays at 10 a.m., either in person or via our live stream, which can be found at our website, www.firstumcyankton.org, or by searching First UMC Yankton on YouTube.